Hi.
Hi.
I'm here with the world famous Rabbi Oliver Spike Joseph. Uh, we're having an international conversation here. I think we've both taken a break from Pesach cleaning, and we're going to do some mental Pesach preparation, intellectual. And Oli, you're going to tell us some of your Pesach thoughts.
Good one. No, I was thinking, I was trying to work out how long I've been thinking about this particular drush, but one of the bits that I really love about the Passover Seder is the role playing, is the getting into character and being in the Seder. The story that most exemplifies this aspect of the Seder, I think there are many, is in Natalie's family, my wife. They do this whole role play thing where some of the youngest kids go out before Manishtana, before the famous kid bit in the Seder, and they say, and they knock on the door and they come back in again, and the adults ask, "Who are you?" And they say, "We're the Israelites." And then the adults say, "Where have you come from?" And they say, "We've come from Egypt, our slavery." And then, "Where are you going?" "We're going to the promised land." And then, "What do you have to say?" And then they begin Manish Tana. And listen, it's they're kids' stories, they're kids' games.
Yeah.
But they exemplify some of these games, and some of these aspects of the Seder exemplify this part of the story. As we read in the Haggadah, in every generation, we are obliged ourselves. We are obliged ourselves to see as if we ourselves came out of Egypt. But it's more. And I think that's really a really beautiful aspect of the Seder, and it also is probably a really hard part of the Seder. And as I was thinking about this aspect more, I'd love to hear also, Josh, Rabbi Josh, how you get into this topic. But I was thinking about it more. There's actually there are oppositional. We have lots of different times in Torah, in the 5 books of Moses, when it's described that we should recount the story of the Exodus from Egypt. It's the only story that we're repetitively told to retell in the Torah, repetitively. And in one part, which is traditionally ascribed to the wise son, it says, Asa Adonai li, that God did this for me when he took me out of Egypt. And there's that personal ownership of the story. That's in Exodus 13. And in Dvarim 6, as a kind of oppositional, it says, I was taken out of there, which is like a separation from the Egyptian exile, a personal separation from the Egyptian exile, and rather a description of an event that happened somewhere else and in another time place. And I think, whilst it's very nice to say that we need to be people who act out the Passover story in real and profound ways and find new ways each year to exemplify that and really get inside the story as if it is our own personal story. I think the scriptural references also exhibit or indicate something very complex about that journey, that we are constantly, well, now that I say it, like we're constantly in embodied and disembodied states, that we're constantly able to really connect, like when you and me we've been friends for a long time, when you and me have a really good conversation, and then like just before, like I'm a bit tired, there's a lot going on, like we didn't have such a connected conversation. There's something about that human capacity to either be super engaged or super disengaged. And I guess part of the Ki'ilu of this year, of Ki'ilu, that I myself stepped out of Egypt, is also in some guise or another asking the question about where I am. Do I feel really connected to the story of the Exodus from Egypt? Do I feel really like I was once a slave and now a free person? Or is it some abstract nonsense that I'm really finding hard to connect with this year?
It's interesting because that's the language of you see yourself, right? So you're on both sides of that. You're the one seeing and you're the one being seen. Right? So when you're the one being seen, you're the one really in the story, but you're also meant to see yourself. So that's like a little bit distant, right? You see that you're just going through the motions, right? If you take that view.
Right. If I really felt it, I wouldn't even be able to disconnect from myself and see myself in the story.
Yeah.
If I really felt it, I think that's also part of this year. This year in particular is that the thematics of slavery. You're just talking in Berlin about going into another lockdown, and I'm not sure if we're so far behind in London. The theatrics of being enslaved and being shut away, lest the plague outside affect us, is so real.
Yeah.
There's no even if we need any play acting this year. Like the plague is here.
Yeah. We have sometimes like we say like, what's your Mitzrayim, right? Like Egypt, the word for Egypt in Mitzrayim, it's like a narrow place, it's confinement. So we have sometimes this question goes around the table, what's confinement for you this year? And yeah, like we're not asking that this year because it's so obvious.
Right. Tachlis, Josh, Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
It's always lovely to learn a little bit with you. We're going to come back and do this for you in a few minutes. I wish you a really good Chag for you and your family.
And you too, Oli. Thanks for teaching, thanks for inspiring, and thanks for giving us kosher for Pesach, food for thought.